Hey everybody, welcome to Algin Gardens. We are in the kitchen today. If you don't know, I'm Karen and we're just doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Today we are going to do sourdough bread. I made a loaf and someone asked me, how'd you make this? Do you have a video? So I said, why not? So we're doing it today, you and I together. Simple recipe. It's going to take some time, but the time is not what's in the kitchen, it's just letting the bread and dough do what it wants to do. We're just along for the ride. So join me. I'm going to start the recipe assuming that you have a starter already. This is the one that I made and curated here in this kitchen. It was real simple to do, but I'm going to assume you have one. If you don't have one, you can buy a starter that's already established. So there's a couple things you can do. I'm going to start the recipe again with just water, flour, my sourdough starter. That's it. So come on in. Let's do it. All right, folks. So we are here. We're getting ready to get it started. So first I wanted to show you, all of this is pure measurements. So we're going to do 500 grams, and I'm using a scale. You can convert it to cups. I will list the conversion in the details, or the description rather. But I found, everything points to it being more accurate if you're using a scale. So I would highly suggest, I think this was like $6 or $7 on Amazon for me. They have it. So we're going to be using 500 grams of bread flour, 100 grams of our starter, 350 grams of warm water, and 10 grams of sea salt. So let's get after it. I'm going to show you how I do it. So we got our scale going, and our bowl is bowling. This is so that we can get an accurate count. We've got ourselves zeroed out. Here we go. 350 grams of water. And if you are not, let me say this, I'm not so much concerned about being like spot on, though I am. Look at that. But a couple grams here or there is not going to make or break you. However, you just want to be careful. Especially when it's time to add the salt. If you want to add those or weigh it separate, then pour it into the bowl. That's also a good thing to do. I'm doing it this way, just so I can show you exactly the process that I go through. I tare it or zero it out and bring it back to 0 grams. Now I'm going to take my starter. Let me bring you out a little bit. So you see how it's pulling and you got that stringiness and it's bubbly. This is a good active starter. So it's kind of what you want to look for when you're getting ready to do your thing. Lots of bubbles, lots of bubbles. Cool. Back to it now that we've paused for a little station identification. I'm going to give it good 100. And you see how it's floating? That's another good way to tell that your starter is where you need it to be. Oop, we're a little bit more. And this is the part where I say sometimes it may be best for you to just measure it out first, then pour it in. Ha ha ha. All right. There we go. Okay, I'm good with that. Then what I'm gonna do, now I'm just gonna mix that starter in there. I'm not looking for it to be perfectly dissolved, but we kind of just want to make sure it's all incorporated, okay? looks milky. Good with that. So now time for the flour. Zeroing it out again. Now I'm using unbleached blend flour. I'm using the good old Wally World brand, but whatever you got. King Arthur, White Lily, which I have now. It's on sale. Caught it. But we're going to use this up. Going to 500 grams. This is just one loaf. If I were doing 2 loaves, I would double up each one. Almost there. $500. Zeroing it out again. Now I have salt. I'm not sure that it really matters. Sea salt, kosher salt. I use sea salt most of the time, so this is what I am. We're looking for 10 grams of that. If you don't have a steady hand, pre-measure. There we go, 10 grams. Take this off the scale now. And all I'm gonna do is I am just mixing it. So this is, we're just mixing this until we get it all incorporated to where all of the flour is mixed in well. And this is what they mean by shaggy. If you ever see that in a recipe, it is not that it's smooth or anything of the sort. This is literally where the bread is just hanging out. It's not, it's mixed, but it's not kneaded or anything of that nature. So it looks shaggy. But I can tell that we still got a little ways to go. And this is where I'm going to come in and use my hands, pre-washed of course. And I can actually feel it better too. Like I can feel and see. Like this is still not mixed all the way because I can feel it dry right there. So I'm just getting it all mixed. And we're gonna cover it, come back in 30 minutes. So now I'm gonna do stretch and folds. We're gonna do 4 sets every 30 minutes. Sorry. So that this doesn't stick too much. What? turning. Putting. See, it's already come together. So we're sitting, covering it back up. We'll be back in 30. All right, so back again. 30 minutes later, you can see how it's kind of starting to settle and smooth out more. So we're gonna do another set of stretch and folds, and I'm just gonna come from underneath, pull it, you'll see. And it's beginning to pull away from the bowl itself. And as the gluten builds up in this, you can see the hands are a lot cleaner because there's not really much sticking going on. Cover it back up. Another 30 minutes. All right, so we are back. Spraying the hands. And looking good. What I'm gonna do is it's another round of stretch and folds or coil folds. I'm gonna switch to coil folds. I just like it. This is literally where I'm taking it and I'm tucking it. I'll show you again. So I'm lifting, taking it, tucking it. Lifting, taking it, tucking it. One more. Taking it and tucking it. Or you could do the folds, whichever one. I like those. I just also wanted to sidebar real quick while we're waiting for our next one. I keep a bowl of water, cold water, for all the utensils, just to make sure that I'm not getting any of the dough into my sink drain. No clogging here. It also makes it quick cleanup. Quick cleanup. Cold water in a bowl. All the utensils I've used, they come clean. Now they can be washed. And this I'll just dump into my compost. Doing a second one on the side. Adding an inclusion of cheese. All right, last up. And if you can see, we got a really cool texture. So we're gonna come in, do our last coil folds or folds. I'm gonna do coil folds, I like them, you know. So I'm coming underneath, fold in front, back underneath, folding that. Folding that one. just feel my hand sticking a little bit, so I'm adding a little bit more water. Just fine. All I'm doing is kind of just tucking it at this point. Hope I'm not getting out of the screen on you. Tucking. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to let it do its bulk fermentation. And that's simply where we're just going to let it sit now for about 4 hours, just to kind of let it double in size. And then I'll show you what that looks like. What we're looking for is for this to kind of double in size, get all bubbly, let those glutens rest up, and let the dough puff up on its own. So we're just gonna let it hang out for another 4 hours or so, depending on your temp. Could be a little bit longer if your house is cooler. Okay, so we are back home at the ranch. We've done a couple errands, got out. Kind of want to show you what we got going on. She moves really good. We've got bubbling all on the top. She's dome shaped. She's definitely doubled in size. So she is ready. So what I'm gonna do, it's time to appreciate. Now, just a light water. I don't use flour, but you can. Sorry. As you can see, there's a lot of bubbling on the side and underneath. Hollowy, so she's ready. That's how I know she's proved. And as I am pulling her out, she's pulling away from the bowl on her own. No assistance from me. Just making her way downtown. I mean, obviously I can go grab her, but for some reason this is the fun part for me. Flops right out, relatively clean bowl. So now we've got her on the table. What we're gonna do is we're gonna laminate her a little bit, shape her into the ball that we want. So I have a bench scraper here. Let's see if I even need it though. Not really. So all I'm doing is just kind of stretching her out. I can feel her. She's giving me her all. I'm doing a nice rectangle kind of. Not perfectly rectangle, but rectangle. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold over in thirds. So folding third, and as you can see, the dough isn't sticking. It's pulling away, so no, we've proved her well. This one fold over. And now I'm gonna just roll her up. Roll. A little. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm tucking a little bit. I'm tucking my fingers underneath. So thumb here. So I watched this reel, and it was kind of real. It's kind of like I'm going push pull kind of thing to tighten up the top. So I'm pulling, bring her to me. Push underneath, bringing it. And I'm not the perfect, I'm still learning this technique, so I don't have the years of it. Push, pull. Push, pull. And if you notice, like as I'm pulling, this is getting tighter. I'm not trying to break it, I'm just trying to give it. So I'll show you the motion again. It's really my thumbs. I'm pushing it up with my thumbs, pulling it underneath so that she rolls. And I'm creating circular motion. So now I've got a nice ball. Doing a couple more. And I'm gonna let her hang out for 30 minutes, and then we're going to chill, just like this, 30 minutes. Be back. All right. So we are back. We've just let it rest for the first pre-shaping, 30 minutes. Now let's get into it. We are going to do our final shaping, and then we're going to let it rest in the fridge overnight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it again, take my ball, I'm going to bring it over, and I'm not going to do as wide of a lamination as I did before. The dough is now, that gluten is keeping it a lot tighter than what it was when we first did the first shaping. This is what's going to help it rise even more in the oven when we first put it in. It's going to give it that good spring that we want it to have, that oven spring. So we're going to do again 3/4, 3/4, and I'm going to tighten, 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 tighten. Don't mind that one. That's a different, same dough, or was created at the same time I did this one that has some cheddar in it. So I'm gonna bring it around. So if you notice, even the movement is even a little bit better. So I'm gonna bring it, pushing it up, pushing it under, pushing it up, pushing it under, up, under. It's kind of like like this. I'm actually pressing more into the countertop than I am the dough, and the dough is just being forced to roll tighten. And this is tight. This is tight. So she's good to go. So what I'm gonna do now is I have my Benetton ball. Got the lining in. I got some rice flour here. You could use a regular sieve. This came with the kit, so why not? I'm gonna just dust up that. Lifting our dough, placing her in. If you see her start to spread out, we're gonna just stitch her together a little bit. All I'm gonna do is just bring, fold over, bring, fold over, bring, fold over, pinching, 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 just to make sure she stays. It's gonna keep that skin taut. A little extra dusting on her. Wrapping her up. And now we're gonna let her go into the fridge overnight for tomorrow's bake. Now, if you wanna bake it the same day, you can. You would just leave this in whatever bowl. If you don't have one of these, a nice bowl, which I'm gonna do for this one, nice bowl. Leave it on the counter for about 2 hours, then you can pop it right into your warmed up oven, preheated oven. But tomorrow we're gonna get the bake on. We're gonna let this ferment or proof overnight. And that's just gonna make it easier to score. And also let all of the fermentation settle, give us a nice richness of flavor. Not overpowering, but a nice even keel on it, but a good solid foundation. So we're gonna pop this one in the fridge. And while I'm here, I'm just gonna shape this one a little bit more. This one is the same bread, or the same dough rather. But I have put some cheddar cheese in the middle. And we've got some cube cheese. She's there. And I'm gonna use, I don't have a second one, so I'm gonna use a bowl. It's a towel. Get her in there. Pinch, pinch. It's just really not coming apart. It's okay. A little bit more. She's just gonna get covered up like this. Tuck her in. Get her in the fridge. Hey, wasabi. We're back. It's the next day. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we are just taking out our dough that we've had fermenting overnight, or proofing rather, overnight in our baskets. They've been in about 14 hours, a little bit more actually, about 15 hours or so, up to 24, 48. I've even seen some that have been in there for days, like 5, 6, 7 days. And have been fine. That's just me and some of my Facebook groups. But we did overnight, so now we're going to bake them up in our Dutch ovens. We have the Dutch ovens preheated with the oven at 450. I'm going to do both of them today, but I just kind of wanted to show you the process. They're already warm. It's 450, and then I waited an extra about 20, 30 minutes just to make sure the Dutch ovens were, you know, up to temp, really scorching. I have these pre-rolled or pre-cut sheets of parchment paper. I got them in a kit when I got a pizza oven or pizza stone for the oven. So parchment paper, and we are going to flip this over, and then we're going to score it. One thing I found is that these things like to curl up on me. So one way to stop that, now we got flatter. They're not rolling away from me. So really all we're doing is we're just taking off our sheet or our cover, flipping them over. This should come right out. And there are two things you can do. Typically I would have added more flour on top. That just helps if we're scoring to get that kind of design or pattern. It's not necessary, but I have enough from when we sprinkled the bowl on here. I can feel it on my fingers, so I'm not going to add more. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lamb and I'm going to score it. You can use like a really sharp box cutter or something like that, a utility knife, maybe even a paring knife if it's extremely sharp. But the idea is you want to score it without, you know, cinching or squeezing out this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to score it here. I hope you can see it. I'm going to score at an angle. So this is going to be here, and I'm kind of doing like a 45-degree angle. I'm scoring straight down, and I'm going all the way through. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back through same line that I'm doing, and I'm going to score it again because I want this to be a deep cut, right? So this is going to help me get that nice ear that you see people talking about. So I'm going to score it one more time, and that's just going to make sure that it gets in there and it puffs up really nice. Over here, just a quick something. I think they call this a wheat. I'm not the best. Maybe one more. Here. here. And before I open up the oven, let me just get this one on a parchment as well. So I'm gonna go in at the same time. This actually came out with the tea cloth. It actually came out really nice with a pattern on it already. So all I'm gonna do is I'm going to just, this one I'm gonna just score straight down the middle. I think that's gonna give a nice score. Score. And X is marking the spot. Okay, so remember, we plop these in for at temperature of 450 for 30 minutes. Just about that now. So we are going to get these with the lid off. Oh, look at that. That's boss. Those roll nicely. Nice spring on them. So what we're going to do is we're going to do about another 15. I can see a little bit better. We're going to do about another 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes just to get these to brown up some. And then we'll pull them out. The money shot. So we are just gonna scoop this right on off the paper. Got a nice browning on it. So again, just recapping, we did 30 minutes at 450 in the oven, inside the Dutch oven with the lid on, 30 minutes. Then we took the lid off and let it do another 15 minutes still at 450. This is the result. Look at that rise. Look at that ear. Now, you are going to be tempted to cut this now. It smells amazing in this kitchen. Do not cut it yet. I repeat, do not cut it yet. Wait hour, 2 hours, the least. If you cut it early, you're gonna end up with a gummy texture on the inside because technically it is still doing a little bit more baking as it's cooling. You want this bread to cool off. Wait an hour or two before you cut into it. This is nice and light. It's got a nice brown to me. It could have gone longer if I wanted it to. Didn't want it. I wanted this light. But this is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sourdough loaf. Now, I know you want to see the cheese one, so let's do it. Baby! Look at that sucker. That's beautiful. That's gorgeous. That's gorgeous. Oh man, that's gorgeous. So we're gonna see what this tastes like. Again, I'm not cutting this. We're gonna let this chill.
Yeah, better. Oh, delicious. Oh, it's beautiful. I don't think I'm gonna
you shine.
Ooh, this is gonna be delicious. Oh, yummy. It's beautiful. Wow, that was gorgeous. Wow, look how soft it is. Okay, cut me a slice.